a boyhood friend of Alexander and the satrap viceroy/governor for the Great One's half-witted half-brother, as well as Alexander's son, well, it leaves him as the de facto pharaoh of Egypt. Now, in order to consolidate his considerable power, Ptolemy kidnaps the body of Alexander, giving him an immense political and religious advantage. Ptolemy builds a tomb for the Great One in Alexandria, located somewhere in the area of the royal palaces. The tomb, which was once a pilgrimage site and tourist destination, has now been lost to history and is probably under the sea, since the coastline has shifted dramatically over the centuries. The tomb was lost, according to legend, along with the lighthouse, the pharaoh's lighthouse, during a massive earthquake sometime in the 6th century A.D. Now, Ptolemy then marries into the pharaonic line, the daughters or granddaughters of past pharaohs, mostly Nubian god kings. He seems to have a taste for the Nubians, and continues Alexander's policy of respecting and honoring local traditions and peoples. Ptolemy encourages intermarriage between Egyptians, Greeks, and Persians. The Ptolemaic pharaohs assimilate local culture, adopt their cults and traditions, and a small Greek Macedonian minority becomes the elite, the ruling class in Egypt. Different peoples, languages, and cultures now exist side by side in Egypt, helped along by an excellent civil service, religious toleration, economic stability, and prosperity. The Ptolemaic dynasty retains a hold on Egypt for 300 years, keeping ancient traditions alive, until the moment that the new superpower in the Mediterranean, Rome, flexes its mighty military muscle and conquers Egypt. This is around 32 BC, give or take. The new Greek pharaohs, who rule over a multicultural Egypt, decide to preserve all the cultures, but without one culture contaminating or dominating the other. This is, of course, no easy task. Age-old Egyptian cults remain, well, virtually unchanged. Religion and spirituality being the fundamental part, the key to the Ptolemaic integration policy. Egyptian deities are assimilated to the Greek deities, the Hellenistic ones, thus worshipped by the Greeks themselves. And the prayers and oracles of both religions are fused together. This is a remarkable period in history. Ptolemy II introduces a new cult, Serapis, a new cult that is linked to the cult of Isis. Now, there's various traditions here. Isis is sometimes the mother, sometimes the sister, sometimes the consort, sometimes in different combinations of these three in her linkage to Serapis. So Serapis is basically a new divine figure born out of a fusion of Osiris and the sacred Egyptian bull, the Apis. The cult was aimed at a multicultural population, Egyptians, Persians, and Greeks worshiping together. Now, there's an infusion of Osirian and Isis spirituality in the cult of Serapis, the hope of resurrection and eternal life. There's a reason for this. That's because that concept of resurrection and eternity is absent from the Greeks' own religion, and the Ptolemies want to infuse it into the worship of Greek Egypt. Now, under the Ptolemies, representations of Isis and other female figures begin to change. They grow increasingly sensual, and eroticism begins to appear in Egyptian art. The image of Isis fills the Ptolemaic temples. Relief sculptures, wall paintings, hieroglyphics cover the temples in their entirety. Every inch of a Ptolemaic temple has art. The art decorates pylons, walls, and columns. The art is linked to the themes of Osirian spirituality, Isis and the Ankh. These are, of course, keeping with Egyptian traditions, but the lines and planes have changed considerably. Gone are the rigid figures and poses of the past Egyptian art. The Ptolemies infuse a sense of movement, flexibility, and, well, naturalness into their portrayals of the goddess. Now, She is not only the mistress of magic, but the mother of Serapis, who engenders him in a lightning flesh. Now, the Ptolemies hold Isis in such high regard, they linked the goddess to their own queens, their own consorts, and placed images of the queens, their female consorts, on coinage and temple reliefs in the guise of the goddess, and usually with pharaonic trappings. The cult of Serapis was linked to the cult of Isis. And in this combination, this Serapis-Isis cult inspires an expansion of Egyptian spirituality into the Mediterranean world. Serapis, to the Romans, was a transcendent god, a god who guaranteed royal power and authority. Emperors like Vespasian, Hadrian, Commodus, and Caracalla used the divine bull's image in their coinage and iconography. But the cult of Serapis goes into a gradual decline, and prayers and dedications slowly trickled down over a 400-year period, 200 BC to 200 AD. There's a reason for this. That's because the cult of Isis grows predominant. But Serapis, the son, consort, brother, sometimes all three, of Isis, was worshipped and extensively during the Roman Empire.